Emma's hands trembled as she pushed aside the stack of Daniel's blueprints. The office smelled faintly of cedar polish, an aroma that had once felt comforting, but now only highlighted how alien the room had become. She noticed a small, leather-bound book tucked behind a row of architectural models, a diary she had never seen before. Why would he hide this? She whispered to herself. The first page bore neat, careful handwriting, almost clinical in its precision, yet the words hinted at a private torment she had never imagined. Each entry pulled her deeper, revealing glimpses of Daniel she thought she knew, and fragments of a life she hadn't been allowed to see. Curiosity and fear wrestled inside her. Every page promised answers, but carried a sting of betrayal she wasn't sure she was ready to face. She flipped another page, the leather spine creaking like a warning. Emma's mind raced as she read deeper. The diary hinted at late-night meetings and secret conversations, never mentioning her. A chill ran down her spine as she realized Daniel's seemingly harmless work trips weren't just about architecture. They were about someone else entirely. She paused, her hand hovering over the next page, her heart hammering. All these years, and I didn't even know him, she whispered. Fear and disbelief battled inside her, yet curiosity won. Emma knew that once she read on, there was no going back. Every carefully penned word in Daniel's diary was a fragment of a life she hadn't been invited into. A life that now threatened to unravel her own. The following night, Emma's curiosity turned to obsession. She found herself imagining the scenarios Daniel had written about, conversations she hadn't been part of, secrets she had never guessed. Each new page revealed a piece of Daniel she didn't recognize. A man conflicted, guilty, and strangely vulnerable, yet capable of deception. Emma felt an ache in her chest, a mixture of betrayal and sorrow. She clutched the diary to her chest and whispered, "Why couldn't you tell me?" Her hands trembled, her breath catching with every word she read, as if the diary itself were breathing deceit into the room. By the weekend, Emma's quiet investigation began to feel like a responsibility. She carefully noted discrepancies, cross-referencing dates with her own memories. Names and places in the diary didn't add up. Some were complete strangers. Her stomach knotted as she realized Daniel had led a double life she had no clue about. The thought of confronting him terrified her, yet a part of her knew she couldn't stop. She remembered the trust she had placed in him, the life they had built, and the jarring contrast with the truths unfolding on the pages. Each secret felt heavier than the last, a weight pressing down on her heart. Later that evening, Daniel returned home, cheerful and unsuspecting. Emma, holding the diary discreetly under the table, smiled faintly, but her mind was elsewhere. The contrast between his familiar voice and the secrets she now held felt surreal. "Did you have a good day?" he asked. She nodded, forcing calm, but her eyes betrayed the storm within. For the first time, she understood that their marriage was not what it seemed. The diary had shifted something fundamental, her perception of him, of their life together. She realized that she would have to confront the truth, no matter how painful, and brace for the consequences of the life she had unknowingly married into. The following morning, sunlight spilled through the kitchen window, but Emma felt anything but light. She sat with the diary open, sipping her coffee slowly, tracing the lines of Daniel's handwriting. Some entries seemed innocent, work deadlines, project sketches, but others contained cryptic references, a woman named Clara, late-night calls, and unaccounted trips. She frowned, flipping back and forth, trying to reconcile dates with her own memories. "It doesn't add up," she muttered. Her heart pounded as she realized the man she thought she knew was living parallel lives, carefully coded in ink. The diary had become both a map and a trap. The more she read, the more tangled she felt, and yet she couldn't look away. Every revelation was a punch, yet irresistible. Emma began making lists, names, places, and dates that didn't match what Daniel had told her. Each inconsistency added a new layer of suspicion. "Who is Clara?" she whispered, flipping frantically through pages. A sense of dread settled over her. These weren't small white lies. They were calculated omissions. She felt a knot in her stomach, realizing that Daniel's life was compartmentalized, hidden behind polite smiles and casual conversations. The diary wasn't just a record of thoughts. It was a blueprint of deception. With trembling hands, she marked the entries that didn't make sense, her mind racing through every late night, every unexplained absence, and the laughter they had shared that now seemed staged. That evening, Emma's curiosity turned into resolve. She retrieved her laptop and began cross-referencing dates, travel logs, and old receipts she had long ignored. Each confirmation tightened the grip of disbelief. Daniel's supposed work trips had taken him elsewhere. The diary spoke of dinners, gifts, and private phone calls that Emma had never known about. Her chest tightened as she realized how meticulously he had hidden these truths, blending them seamlessly into the everyday life they had shared. The man she had loved was both present and absent. A stranger, hiding in plain sight. "I need to know everything," she murmured, determination overcoming the ache of betrayal. Late at night, Emma sat in the dim glow of the desk lamp, reading a section of the diary that chilled her to the bone. Daniel's words hinted at an emotional affair, a connection to someone named Clara, and moments he described as needed but forbidden. The meticulous way he documented every interaction made her feel both voyeur and victim. A tear slipped down her cheek, and she pressed the diary to her chest, whispering, "I can't believe I didn't see it." The house was silent except for the ticking clock, marking each second of a trust being shattered, revealing a man she loved and a stranger she never knew. By the weekend, Emma realized the diary had become her silent companion. Every page revealed a life parallel to the one she had shared with Daniel. Plans, confessions, and carefully hidden relationships. She felt a growing sense of urgency. These secrets couldn't remain buried any longer. As she closed the diary for the night, she promised herself she would uncover the full truth. Her love was tangled with betrayal, but determination had replaced shock. Emma now understood that the life she thought she had was built on partial truths. And to reclaim control, she would have to follow the diary's trail wherever it led. Emma flipped the diary with trembling fingers, dreading what she might find, yet unable to stop. Between the pages, tucked inside a carefully folded envelope, she discovered a photograph. Her eyes widened as she lifted it. Daniel, smiling, arm around a woman she had never met. A young child clinging to him. Emma's heart lurched violently. The woman's eyes bore a quiet familiarity. The child's smile innocent, oblivious. She could feel the weight of every lie crashing down around her. Daniel's business trips, his late nights, his elusive charm, they had all concealed this other life. Emma sank to the floor, the photograph trembling in her hands, whispering to herself, "How could you hide this from me? All this time?" Emma stared at the photograph over and over, each glance revealing a new layer of betrayal. Daniel's face, so familiar, now seemed like that of a stranger. Who were they? Why had he hidden them? Questions churned in her mind like a storm, mixing anger, sorrow, and disbelief. The thought of confronting him felt unbearable. Yet she knew she couldn't ignore this. With trembling hands, she placed the photo back in the diary, her pulse racing. She realized that Daniel's secret life wasn't just about emotional distance. It was deliberate, planned, and carefully hidden, a shadow existence running parallel to the one she thought they shared. Unable to contain herself, Emma called Laura late that night. Her voice shook as she described what she had found. Laura's responses were hesitant, clipped, almost evasive. Emma sensed tension in her friend's voice she had never noticed before. Something in Laura's tone made her heart race with suspicion, yet she couldn't put her finger on it. "I just need someone to help me make sense of this," Emma whispered, tears spilling freely. The realization settled in slowly. Perhaps Laura knew more than she was letting on. The circle of trust she had relied on was shrinking, leaving her increasingly alone in the storm of revelations. Emma's mind wandered back to the earliest inconsistencies she had noticed in the diary. She began piecing together a timeline. The unexplained trips, the cryptic entries, the unaccounted-for money. Every small detail now had a shadow, a hidden meaning. Her anger burned brighter than her fear. Daniel had woven an elaborate life parallel to hers, hiding it with precision and care. And now, with the photograph as irrefutable evidence, she could no longer deny the reality. Her home, her memories, even the laughter they had shared. It had been built on a foundation of secrets, and that foundation was crumbling beneath her. By dawn, Emma had made a silent vow. She would confront Daniel, not with the fury of immediate accusation, but with the precision of someone who had unearthed undeniable truths. The diary and photograph had changed everything. She felt fear, yes, but it was eclipsed by a new determination. She understood now that Daniel's life was split, and to survive the aftermath she needed clarity. As the first rays of sunlight filtered through the blinds, Emma held the photograph in one hand, diary in the other, whispering to herself, "I will know the whole story, no matter what it takes." Emma spent the morning poring over bank statements and invoices she had long ignored. At first glance, they seemed routine, but subtle patterns began to emerge. Large transfers to unknown accounts, unexplained withdrawals coinciding with the dates in Daniel's diary. Her pulse quickened as she realized these were not mistakes. They were deliberate. Hidden transactions. Every number was a thread leading to the truth she had feared, but now had to follow. "How long has this been going on?" she whispered, her hands shaking. The life she thought she shared with Daniel was unraveling piece by piece, each discovery cutting deeper than the last. By afternoon, Emma realized she needed guidance. She called Laura, trying to sound casual, but her voice trembled slightly. I found more than I expected," she admitted. Laura paused, a subtle hesitation betraying her reaction. Emma's suspicions deepened. Something about Laura's tone felt off, almost rehearsed. But Emma had no choice. She needed answers, and for the first time she considered the possibility that even her closest ally might be involved in Daniel's hidden world. A storm of doubt and betrayal washed over her, yet beneath it, a cold determination took root. She would uncover every secret, no matter who was involved. That evening, Emma confronted Daniel with subtle questions about his work and finances, carefully observing his reactions. He smiled, calm, deflecting easily, yet there was a flicker of something in his eyes. Hesitation, maybe fear. Emma pressed on, citing dates, trips, and unexplained transfers, though she avoided revealing the photograph or diary outright. Daniel's composure faltered briefly, and Emma knew she had touched a nerve. The cracks were appearing in his carefully maintained facade, and she felt a surge of power tempered by sorrow. The man she loved was slipping through her fingers, and the truth was finally clawing its way to the surface. Later that night, Grace, Daniel's mother, arrived unannounced. Polite and measured, she carried the weight of knowledge Emma had never expected. "Emma, please," Grace said softly. "There are things about Daniel's past you don't understand. Not everything is what it seems." Emma's chest tightened. The diary and photograph had exposed a hidden family, financial manipulation, and layers of deception. But now Grace's intervention complicated matters further. Emma realized the truth was larger than she had imagined. The web of secrets wasn't just Daniel's. It had roots in the family she barely knew, and unraveling it would be more dangerous than she anticipated. Emma spent the night reflecting, diary on her lap, photographs beside her. The cracks were widening, Daniel's lies, hidden family, and now his mother's interference painted a picture of deliberate concealment and protection. Anger and grief swirled together, but beneath them, clarity emerged. She could no longer ignore the truth or let Daniel's charm mask the damage. She resolved to gather evidence, document every secret, and prepare for confrontation. Dawn would bring more than sunlight. It would bring action. Emma now understood that the life she thought she knew was a carefully constructed illusion, and only she could dismantle it. Emma sat at her desk, the diary open, cross-referencing bank statements with dates and entries. Each discovery revealed another layer. Daniel had siphoned funds from his firm to cover debts from a failed real estate venture years ago, cleverly disguising transactions to appear legitimate. Her stomach churned as she realized the scale of the deception. This was no small secret. It was a carefully orchestrated double life. Her anger and disbelief collided with a cold, determined clarity. She had to expose every detail, both to protect herself and to confront the man she had loved. The life she thought she knew was a house of cards, and Daniel's lies had built the foundation. Emma's investigation led her to Laura. Hesitant but resolute, she confronted her friend about suspicious transfers and diary entries. Laura's face paled, eyes darting away. "I didn't know it would get this far," Laura admitted, voice low, trembling. Emma's heart sank. Her best friend, her confidante, had knowingly assisted Daniel in hiding money. Betrayal layered upon betrayal. The room felt suffocating as Emma realized the depth of deceit surrounding her. She had trusted not just her husband, but the people closest to her. Anger mixed with sorrow, but determination flared brighter. She would document every secret and expose the truth, no matter the personal cost. Determined to uncover every secret, Emma returned to Daniel's office while he was away. Hidden in the back of a drawer, she discovered financial ledgers, receipts, and documents confirming embezzlement and identity falsification. Her hands shook as she realized the full scope. Daniel's lies extended far beyond infidelity. They threatened her security, her reputation, and everything she had built alongside him. Emma felt a surge of clarity. This was no longer just a personal betrayal. It was a crime. Every careful word in his diary now appeared as premeditated manipulation, and she understood the dangerous path she had begun to follow. That night, Emma confronted Daniel with a fraction of what she had discovered, carefully choosing her words. "I know about the transfers, Daniel. I know about the accounts." His calm demeanor faltered, replaced by fleeting panic. He tried to deflect, charm, and manipulate. But Emma's resolve was unshakable. The cracks in his perfect facade were now visible to anyone paying attention. She realized that the man she had trusted so completely was capable of meticulous deceit, and the confrontation she had dreaded was inevitable. She would no longer be blind to his double life. The diary and documents had illuminated the truth. By midnight, Emma realized that she was no longer a passive observer of Daniel's deception. The diary, photograph, financial records, and Laura's confession had armed her with the truth. The life she thought she shared with Daniel had been a carefully constructed illusion. But now, clarity replaced confusion. She would gather all the evidence, document every lie, and ensure that the full extent of Daniel's double life was exposed. Anger, sorrow, and resolve blended into a single purpose. Emma would no longer be a victim of deception. She would reclaim control over her life, no matter the fallout. Emma walked into the police station clutching the diary and financial records like a lifeline. Detective Ryan Holt, calm but skeptical, raised an eyebrow as she laid out the evidence. This is extensive," he said, scanning the documents. Emma's voice shook, but her resolve was firm. "He's not just lying emotionally. He's been committing fraud, hiding money, and living a double life." Detective Holt nodded, taking notes. For the first time, Emma felt that her private pain had the power to enforce justice. The man she loved was no longer untouchable, and the truth was about to pierce the perfect facade he had spent years constructing. Detective Holt began tracing Daniel's accounts, cross-referencing receipts and diary entries. Emma watched silently, a mixture of anticipation and dread tightening her chest. Every confirmation, the hidden accounts, forged signatures, late-night transactions, was a dagger of truth. Holt looked up. "This is going to take time, but it's all here. You've done everything right." Relief and sorrow mingled within Emma. She realized the full scale of what Daniel had done, yet she felt empowered by her meticulous gathering of evidence. Her private pain was now backed by irrefutable proof, and the reckoning had begun. A few days later, Daniel was confronted at his office. Detective Holt presented the evidence, the ledgers, the diary, and the photographs. Daniel's calm veneer crumbled as Emma's presence anchored the confrontation. I didn't mean for it to go this far," he stammered. But words no longer held power over Emma. The diary had revealed the depth of his manipulation, and the documents proved it. She watched silently, anger tempered by clarity, as the man she had loved transformed into the stranger whose lies had nearly destroyed her life. Justice, slow and deliberate, was finally closing in. Daniel was escorted away by the authorities, the weight of his double life collapsing in real time. Emma stood on the steps outside the building, diary clutched to her chest, her hands trembling. Emotions swirled, relief, sorrow, anger, but clarity dominated. She had faced the lies, gathered proof, and forced the truth into the open. The man she had trusted was no longer untouchable, and she could finally breathe. Yet, even in this moment of triumph, the echoes of betrayal lingered, a reminder of the life she had lost and the careful reconstruction she would now undertake. Back at home, Emma sat in the quiet of her living room. The diary finally closed. Its pages had revealed every lie, betrayal, and shameful secret, yet she felt a sense of empowerment in knowing the truth. She traced her fingers over the leather cover one last time, whispering, "It's over now." The pain lingered, but so did clarity. The reckoning had stripped away illusions, leaving only reality and her ability to rebuild. Emma understood that the past could not be changed, but the future was hers to reclaim. And for the first time in weeks, she allowed herself to breathe. Days later, Emma sat alone in her study. The diary spread before her. She had survived the legal process, witnessed the exposure of Daniel's double life, and now faced the final pages. Her fingers hesitated over the last entry. The handwriting was familiar yet heavy, trembling with shame and fear. Daniel's words confessed everything: emotional manipulation, hidden debts, and the life he had built in secret. There was no apology, only a raw acknowledgement of his failures. Emma felt a pang of sadness, tempered by clarity. She closed her eyes, whispered to herself, "I know now. I see everything." The weight of lies lifted slightly, leaving space for resolution. Emma reread the final entries slowly, absorbing every word. Daniel's confession was honest yet hollow. He admitted fear, self-loathing, and the impossibility of undoing his betrayals. The diary had been his attempt to unburden himself, but it had also revealed the full truth to her. Emma's chest ached, but her mind was clear. She understood that forgiveness was not necessary. Justice had been served, and awareness was enough. The diary had taken her on a journey through deception, heartbreak, and revelation, and now it had served its final purpose. The truth was hers, unaltered and complete. After a long moment, Emma closed the diary gently, pressing her fingers to the leather cover. A sense of empowerment washed over her. The revelations, the betrayal, the secrets, all had been confronted, and she had survived. She realized that the diary had given her not only pain but clarity. It had forced her to see the truth and reclaim control. "It ends here," she whispered softly, a calm determination in her voice. The diary was no longer a prison of secrets. It was a testament to resilience and the ability to rise above deceit. Emma carried the diary to the fireplace, inhaling deeply. Memories of deceit, heartbreak, and betrayal filled her mind, but she felt a new strength coursing through her veins. One final act would symbolize the end of the past and the reclaiming of her life. She placed the diary in the hearth, hesitated for a heartbeat, and then struck a match. Flames licked the leather cover, consuming every secret, every lie, every painful memory. She watched the ashes curl into the air, whispering softly, "No more lies." The weight of Daniel's deception lifted, leaving Emma free to rebuild her life with clarity, courage, and resilience. As the last ember faded, Emma stepped back and exhaled slowly. The diary was gone, and with it, the weight of lies that had haunted her for months. She sank into her armchair, looking around at the quiet, sunlit room, and felt a profound sense of release. The betrayal, the secrets, and the heartbreak had shaped her, but they no longer controlled her. Emma understood that truth, resilience, and clarity were now hers. The past had been faced, the present reclaimed, and the future, unknown yet hopeful, awaited her. For the first time in months, she smiled genuinely, whispering to herself, "I'm free."